What's up, folks? It's your boy DT 2.0, and I know it's been a long time, but between work travel, Thanksgiving, Christmas, products not being available for the little guy, and my entire family catching COVID, I'm back in this piece. Today we have a laptop from a company I visited but twice since I first started making these videos. This is the consumer review of the Razer Blade 15 Advance mid-2021 with the RTX 3080 and that oh-so-good 4K OLED touch display. And if you don't know like I know, I'm a sucker for OLED displays like I'm a sucker for a big butt and a smile. I'm just bullshitting. Shout out to BBD. Let's get it. Now, before we jump deep into the review, let's jump into these specs. This thing sports the Intel Core i9-11900H, 32 gigabytes of RAM at 3200 megahertz, a 1 terabyte SSD, the NVIDIA RTX 3080 with 16 gigabytes of VRAM, but unfortunately, folks, Razer done it to us again. It's Max-Q 3rd Gen, and I didn't even try to rhyme that. With 105 watts of maximum graphical power for all you deep tech spec folks out there, because I know y'all gonna ask. 15.6-inch 4K OLED touchscreen display at 60 hertz or only 60 hertz, a full RGB lighted keyboard, and THX spatial audio, weighing in at about 4.5, 4.6 pounds roughly. This laptop with all of these top specs was about $3,700 after taxes. Quite the Christmas gift for myself if it performs up to its potential or up to its price. All I know is some folks that were expecting big gifts probably didn't get them because I got this laptop. But it is what it is. It's my love for it. Now let's do a quick roundabout. On the left side, you have the proprietary power input, 2 USB Type-A 3.2, 1 USB Type-C/Thunderbolt port, and a microphone headphone combo jack. On the right side, you have an HDMI output, and that's HDMI 2.1, another USB Type-A 3.2, and another USB Type-C/Thunderbolt port, and a full-size SD card slot. Quite the amount of inputted outputs for a laptop, which is great. All right, folks, you know what it is, and for those that don't, let me let you in. This is a consumer review, so if you're looking for that deep technical testing 50 games, 90 charts, thermometer taking reviews, this ain't it. This is a review for those that just want to know, hey, does this thing work? And when I get it home, or if I purchase this thing, will it work for me? With that, I'll give you my likes, dislikes, concerns, little bit of performance, and my overall recommendation. Is this thing a keeper, or is it going back? Let's get it. Like number one, the design and the build quality. Nothing to see here, folks. Just like Apple is with the MacBook Pros, the Razer does it here. They stick with the design that just works, and I'm not complaining. All metal construction, and it feels like a weapon in your hand. I'm telling you, if somebody tried to rob you, you could just swing this thing at them, and I'm sure, quite sure, that it'll draw some blood. Seriously. Especially if you catch them with one of these sharp edges, which I'll talk about later. You might end up being the one getting the charge if you swing it hard enough. I'm just playing. Anyway, it's thin, but not too thin. But then again, see what I did there? I don't like laptops that are too thin because that makes them seem fragile. Yeah, they're thin and light. It makes them feel like they're $1 million, but they're just fragile as hell. This thing is just a smidgen thicker than the newer MacBook Pros, and I think that's mostly attributed to the thicker feet at the bottom. Let's just be real. This thing is just a Windows version, and it has always been a Windows version of a MacBook Pro in black, and I like it. Are you listening, Apple? Bring the MacBook Pro back in black and stop playing. Seriously, look how this thing looks. I'm loving it. Like number two, and this is a hater alert, because I know y'all out there. Folks, if you have not played games or watched movies, videos with the 4K OLED display at 15 inches, then don't speak on how dumb it is. Please, because I know I'm going to see it in the comments every fucking time. This thing is, and this screen is outstanding. Deeper than the Abyss blacks, vibrant Clorox bleach whites, and colors that just pop. Everything that we want and ask for from a display, you got it here. And I love to see that while I'm playing my games. I don't have to worry about IPS glow or backlight bleeding because there is none. I don't have to check for it. Yes, it's only 60 hertz, but for the things that I do in the games that I play that are non-shooters and non-competitive, and I ain't playing for money, this thing is outstanding. And if I do decide I need more frames because I do want to play competitively, I have a 3080 with 16 gigabytes of VRAM and an HDMI 2.1 output to connect to external monitor or display, which I'm sure it'll perform great, and I'll show you that later. Pixel density, I'm not going to even get into the actual number, but just know it's tighter than a nat booty. Great for viewing content and editing photos and videos. So before you diss a 4K OLED laptop, try it out, especially at this screen size. There is a reason you can't find any of the old Alienware M15R3s and R4s on Dell's outlet site. You know why? They're all sold out because 1, there's a deep ass discount, and 2, there's quite the cult following that just don't want to admit it. Y'all know who y'all are, so stop the madness. Like number 3, and that's the keyboard lighting. Razer is one of the best in the business when it comes to keyboard lighting, and I put them and Lenovo and Alienware at the top of all manufacturers out there when it comes to this particular portion of a gaming laptop. And we're just talking lighting here, right? Not the actual keyboard, which I'll speak on later. I hate 4-zone lighting. It just screams cheap, and Razer didn't cheap out here. I love the individual keys with little to no leakage around the edges, and you have that here. It looks outstanding, especially when you have it in that same Razer green as the hood logo if you're a huge Razer fan. Unlike the Razer Blade 14, which had uneven lighting on some bigger keys, you don't have that issue here. Yes, I be nitpicking, but when I pay almost $4,000 for something, expect nitpicking. Everything is nice and bright and looks high quality and great against this all black deck, so good job here. Like number 4, like I said before, it's a MacBook Pro clone, and if you have big speaker grills, as you can see them on the side right here, you better have some decent sound quality. Now, while they are decent, they are not almost $4,000 decent. While it is way louder than any other PC laptop on the market, let's just be real. The MacBook Pro continues to be the standard and has been the standard for years. And I don't think that any company out there would even try to compete. I get it. Use headphones to get the best sound quality. And that's why this thing toots THX spatial audio. But still, I don't want to use headphones all the time, or I want to watch a movie with a friend or significant other without having 2 headphones on at the same time using Bluetooth. Now, you can do that here. You can use it without headphones, and it's better than most. But again, for almost $4,000, I expect more. To sum it up, mids are a little muddy, highs are decent, and bass, let's just be real, it's an afterthought. But they do still fall into the light category because they are better than most out there. So good job, but not great job, Razer. Like number 5, and I didn't have to mention this because we don't always use them. We always use a mouse, but when we do have to use them, and I mean have to use them, we expect them to be decent. And that's the trackpad. So let's just keep this short and sweet. It's great. Glass, smooth, responsive, has a nice click to it, nice feel to it. Palm rejection, though, is just so-so. I've had a few hiccups, but it may be more of my hand position than anything. I like that it sits symmetrically in the center of the deck, and there are no gaps and creaks to it at all. Great construction overall. This is the same as it's been in their previous laptops, so no changes needed because it was already great. If it ain't broke, you ain't need to fix it. And my final like is the port selection. Look, we can't overlook the fact that this laptop being thin, that they could have cut a few corners to get it even thinner, or, well, something that I would have liked, a little cheaper. They decided not to do that here, though. They also didn't stick us with one option and or a dongle, and I'm looking at you, Alienware and Apple makes you buy the dongle. At least Alienware gave me a dongle. They gave us everything we needed to get going right away, as soon as we opened the box, and not pushed us in a direction that we were not ready for. They didn't decrease or completely omit USB-A. They didn't shaft us and give us just one Thunderbolt port. They gave us 2. They didn't skim and gave us a full SD card slot instead of a micro SD card slot. They did us some justice when it came to the ports here, and I'm going to give them props for it. Now, we don't have an Ethernet port. There's a dongle for that. See how I come back to harness anyway? But Wi-Fi is so fast nowadays, it's really going by the wayside, and I'm just being real. Anyway, Razer, thanks for that. Thanks for keeping it the same. Good job. Now on to my unfortunates or my dislikes. And the first one is the color and the fingerprints this color brings. I said it before in my Razer Blade 14 video that this thing is a fingerprint magnet, the magneto of gaming laptops out there. So if you don't like looking at smudges on your gear, keep a rag handy. From the time I took this thing out of the box, it had my prints and probably my DNA on it. And I've kept my hands pretty clean, especially with COVID still going around and being a victim of it. To be honest, it's just the hood that collects the most fingerprints. For some reason, my palms don't really muck up the deck like I thought it would. Same goes for the trackpads. No fingerprints there either. Look, I love the black, and I hate the fingerprints that comes with it, so I got to compromise. So be ready to compromise if you get any of the Razer laptops on the market. I just wish they gave us that silver option from early last year that I reviewed or partially reviewed, and my problem would have been solved. It was really nice, and it had that laser etched Razer logo on the hood, which I didn't mind instead of the lighted one. So come on, Razer, do the opposite of what I'm asking Apple to do with the MacBook Pros and give us that silver again. I promise I won't call you a copycat today. Dislike number 2, and I mentioned the lighting being great, but I separated from the actual keyboard. While I love the lighting, I don't really like how shallow this keyboard is. It feels cheaper than it should. I like to see like to see better key travel and a little bit more resistance. And to be honest, I haven't actually measured, but they do look a little smaller than other keys on the market. It may be just me though. I typed this review on it, and while I had minimal mistakes, it still took some getting used to. I don't know what it is, but I wouldn't want to use this for any type of gaming long term. It would be basically external keyboards and gamepads only unless I had to use it and I was fiending for a session. Another thing I noticed was this long ass shift key we got over here. It looks like a misplaced Lego sitting there. I wonder what the thought process was behind that. Probably to keep it symmetrical, but it is what it is. It still functions great, and I was able to use it with no problem. But while I was reviewing it, it still stood out to me. And if I ain't, I'm sure I'm not tripping. So if I am, let me know in the comments. But don't this thing look up a little bit longer than what it should? Like an Arsenio Hall finger? Dislike number 3, and that's the sharp edges. If you plan on gaming or typing on this for an extended period of time, expect to take breaks. These sharp edges will get to you after a while. If they're not leaving marks on your palms, then they're leaving marks on your wrists, depending on your hand position. No, this is not the only gaming laptop that has sharp edges, but this is one of the few that are made of hard metal construction, which makes it that much sharper. It's even sharper at the indentation of where you open the lid. It feels like the tip of a knife. Like, I believe if you make the wrong move or graze your wrist on it, moving real fast, you can actually cut yourself. So be careful while handling, typing, or gaming, and take breaks. And Razer, in the future, just round them off just a little bit and make it more, dare I say, gamer ergonomical. I just made that up, y'all. So you have my permission to use it. I'm just bullshitting. You can't. And my final dislike, and I saved the worst for last. I would have said best for last, but it's not the best. And that's just this damn 3080 card. Max Q. Really, bro? Really? Come on, man. You say you have vapor chambers that keep your unit cooler than ever. So why the Max Q? Why 105 watts? I don't care if it is 3rd gen Max Q. Give me the power that I think I'm paying for. I know people are going to be in the comments talking about how it's too much power and it generates heat, but that doesn't seem to stop any other manufacturers out there from putting them in their system. So what now? What are we talking about here? This is a $3,700 laptop after taxes. That's knocking on $4,000. For that, let me accept the damn risk and put a disclaimer on the box. I'll accept it. I've had the Lenovo Legion, especially the 7 laptops in here, and not near one of those had a Max Q. All full powered and ready to go, and they perform, blew this thing out the water. And you'll see that in the performance area, how it stacks up. So, you know what? I'm done with it. Woosah. I'll leave it at that. But Max Q, bruh, come on, man. Y'all killing me. Next, I'll talk about my viewer favorites that I really don't rank or compare when I'm doing my reviews, but I talk about them anyway, right? Because they don't matter to me, but they matter to y'all, so I'm going to mention them. And that's battery life and fan noise. Battery life, look, I'm just going to put it like this. I hate when people put in the comments, hey, well, how long does it take or how long does it last on Netflix or YouTube at 50% brightness with this setting and this setting? Ain't nobody doing all that. Just know this. Doing light tasking, and I'm talking a mixture of YouTube, email, Microsoft Word, Excel, or word processing in general, some music, and at full brightness, because that's the only way I roll with a screen this beautiful, I was able to get 3 to 4 hours. You have to look at this screen and the power it demands in addition to that 3080 that may or may not be on, depending on what you're doing. I've said in plenty of other videos, I don't game on battery, and I don't plan to start, and I don't know why anybody would do it anyway. Just know, if you need to take this thing to school, to work, to do a few things, to Starbucks, whatever, it has you covered. Anything outside of light tasking, you'll get, especially if you're gaming, you're getting 30 to 45 minutes worth of time. After that, lights out. Now, fan noise, surprisingly, it's not an issue. I know in the past, at least my experience, my Razers have always had a slight whine that would kick in and aggravate the hell out of me, even when I was just surfing the web. I haven't had that issue here. When they do kick up, compared to every other laptop or gaming laptop that I've had in here, they're not that loud. It's either that or I lost my hearing. But the decent speakers actually drown them out anyway. And if you wear headphones, who cares about fan noise, right? They did a really good job in keeping the fans at bay, right? The deck in the front, let me just add this, gets quite hot though. Just like any other laptop that has this much metal, it's going to burn, right? I say this is probably actually a good thing because the metal deck probably absorbs some of the heat from the inside, but don't touch it though because it gets quite toasty. But then again, I'm not complaining. It's just like every other laptop I've had on the market, but at least it doesn't blow on the screen. And I'm looking at you, Asus. Now on to the performance. Now, I normally do a comparison against other laptops using 3D Mark's Time Spy Extreme, which tests 4K gaming performances, and Port Royal, which tests ray tracing performance, but the results were not where they were supposed to be, in my opinion, and I'll show them here. To be honest, they fell even or even sometimes below laptops with 3060s and 3070s in them, and the ones with 3080s just made them look like a pre-K. Even after I went into the settings and forced the software to use max CPU and GPU power and restarted, still no increase in the results. Something real funny was going on, but it may be just my unit. So again, I'm not going to beat it up because of what could be a software glitch or issue. But to show y'all the performance, I'm going to put this thing in the field of play. So what I'm going to do is just cut the tape and just show y'all me playing some games. All games will be played at the highest resolution in this laptop, 4K, and at its highest settings. And if there's a DLSS option, I'll turn that on because if you ask me for games that I play to see a difference or a visual difference on a screen or displayed this size, you have to really get your eyes closer to the display, and I ain't doing all that. One last test is playing a few games while connected to the external or to my external display for those that just can't deal with 60 hertz. And I mentioned this before. If you can't deal with 60 hertz 100% of the time, you have options. You have a HDMI 2.1 that you can output to my monitor, in this case, the LG C1, that'll emulate an external display. Now, for that test, I'll drop the resolution to 1440p to create a more realistic test for those that don't have this particular beautiful display. Most of the monitors out there today are QHD anyway, so I'm emulating that. Disclaimer though, the max frame rate for my LG C1 is 120 hertz. So if you see it tapping out, it means you can get more frames out of it if you have a monitor that was capable of higher frame rates. Okay, enough of this talking. Let's go.
That's it. Let me drive. You're gonna get us killed.
We're not dead yet.
Maybe we are, and this is hell.
Do not be ridiculous. This place lacks the eternal frost.
Your hell is frozen?
Has something to do with the wind.
I'm still tracking west, heading downward now. There's an underground river.
So do I recommend the Razer Blade 15 Advanced Edition mid-2021 with the RTX 3080 Max Q? And I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I'm just going to copy and paste my recommendation from my Razer Blade 14 review. Now, I do like this laptop. The design, the look, the solid feel, and Razer's aesthetic in general. I even like the performance to a certain extent, but the price just mucks it up. Now, do they have lower tier models? But they are also overpriced. It's just the cost of admission for Razer in general, just like Apple. It's just this thing, or if this thing was $2,500, it's a keeper. But $34, $35, $36, almost $4,000 after taxes, this thing is in a whole nother tax bracket when it comes to gaming laptops, above most or what most are willing to pay. That's a lot of money for what this thing brings to the table. Now, if I'm doing any content creation or video editing and I got the budget, this is the one that I'm selecting with that oh so good 4K OLED display. But if you're looking for blazing gaming performance on top of that, when you do connect it to an external display, I'd say move over to something like the Lenovo Legion 7, which blew this thing out of the water in performance. But looking at the results of the actual gaming performance, this thing was no slouch and it looked absolutely amazing while doing it. You guys know how I feel about OLED displays. My house and this desk is littered with them because of the deep blacks and amazing color, which I crave. If you have the budget to purchase one of these, one of the few 4K OLED gaming laptops on the market, then shoot your shot, big baby. Don't let anybody tell you what to do with your money. I'm just still upset and hurt that they didn't give us a full, quote unquote, 3080 without that Max Cube technology bullshit. I mean, this is their bread and butter range, so why not give us that bread and butter and some meat on top of that? I'm just gonna leave that at that. That's all I got for today, folks. It is what it is. Hate me if you like, but if you have any questions, hit me in the comments. Like and subscribe. Once again, thanks for watching. This is DT 2.0. Y'all stay out of trouble, stay safe, stay healthy. Deuces.